5 years ago, many riders dismissed Chinese motorcycles as budget options not worth serious consideration. That perception is shifting quickly. In the UK alone, Chinese-built machines recently topped sales charts in several categories, showing that riders are not only trying them, but also trusting them. What's changed? These brands have moved beyond making cheap transport and started pulling in real engineering knowledge from Europe. From KTM-linked twins to engines influenced by BMW design, Chinese manufacturers are tying price advantage to proven tech. They're often thousands cheaper than the Japanese competition, but with power, features, and warranties that deserve a closer look. In this video, we're breaking down 5 standout engines, comparing their specs, partnerships, and value to see if they truly deliver on performance without draining your wallet. And it all starts with a brand whose bikes are looking more and more like Austrian machines for a very clear reason: the KTM CFMoto connection. The first big shift comes from the KTM CFMoto connection, a partnership that has turned heads in recent years. CFMoto has been working closely with KTM since the early 2000s, and that collaboration gives them direct access to Austrian designs, engines, and even production responsibilities. In fact, CFMoto now manufactures KTM's 790 Adventure and 790 Duke in China under this joint venture, proving the technology transfer and quality control are more than just marketing claims. One of the clearest examples of this collaboration is the CFMoto 450 MT, a middleweight adventure bike that carries a lot of KTM's DNA in both design and performance. The 449 cubic centimeter parallel twin delivers 42 horsepower and 31 pound-feet of torque, putting it squarely in the same conversation as the Honda CB 500X and other established Japanese offerings. At around 175 kilograms, it's competitively light for the class, which makes it feel nimble both on and off the road. Add in KYB suspension and a TFT dash, and this is a package that looks and feels like it belongs in the premium segment. Visor Down even went as far as calling it one of the best Chinese offerings, which says a lot about how far these bikes have come. Price is another angle where the 450 MT makes a strong case. It comes in more than 1,000 pounds cheaper than rivals like Honda's NX 500, while still offering genuine dual-purpose ability. Compared to bikes such as the Yamaha Tenere 700, it remains significantly more affordable, which puts serious adventure capability within reach for a lot more riders. That aggressive positioning is a key reason sales figures are climbing so fast in Europe. What makes this partnership different from older attempts is that it isn't surface-level or badge engineering. CFMoto is plugged directly into KTM's engineering pipeline, giving them access to modern engine development, quality assurance processes, and global manufacturing standards. This is why bikes like the 450 MT can go toe-to-toe with established Japanese middleweights. It's not imitation, it's integration. As impressive as this collaboration is, not every Chinese manufacturer relies on a European partnership to keep costs down. Some are carving their own path while still managing to hit incredible price points. And that brings us to one of the most surprising machines in today's lineup: a parallel twin that costs about the same as most entry-level singles. The cheapest parallel twin on the market, QJMotor's SRK 400, has made headlines for one simple reason. It's reported to be the cheapest parallel twin motorcycle you can buy, with a price of just $4,799 according to TopSpeed. That's a figure that places it side by side with single-cylinder entry-level machines. Yet what you're getting instead is a 400 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled parallel twin designed to offer more performance and refinement. On paper, the SRK 400 produces around 40.9 horsepower and 27.2 pound-feet of torque. These aren't class-leading numbers, but what sets it apart is its reported use of a 360-degree firing order. Reviewers have noted that this crank setup gives the bike an exhaust note and feel reminiscent of classic twin-cylinder engines and even boxer-style motors. While it doesn't make the SRK faster than rivals like Kawasaki's Ninja 500 or Yamaha's MT-03, it does create a distinctive riding character you won't find in similarly priced options. Weight is one area where the SRK 400 shows its compromises. At roughly 414 pounds wet, it's heavier than most of its direct competitors. The Ninja 500, for example, tips the scales at about 42 pounds lighter. Add to that the absence of extras like a slipper clutch or quick shifter on the base version, and it's clear that keeping the price under $4,800 comes with trade-offs. Still, the 6-speed gearbox and electronic fuel injection mean it's a capable everyday bike for riders who prioritize affordability over cutting-edge equipment. To hold down production costs, QJMotor reuses components from its sibling brand, Benelli. Reports note that the SRK 400 shares major parts with the Benelli 302S, including forks, brakes, swing arm, and even the basic frame design. What distinguishes it is a reworked rear subframe and updated engine dimensions, giving it both fresh styling touches and a bit more displacement compared to its Italian-branded cousin. Styling-wise, reviewers have pointed out that the SRK 400 borrows cues from several mainstream bikes rather than presenting a completely new design. The KTM-style trellis frame, Kawasaki-inspired lamps, and a DFL-like tail all come together for a look that's familiar, yet still manages to stand out with bold colors and sharp lines. The bigger story, however, is what this pricing move means across the industry. By offering a twin-cylinder motorcycle for under $5,000, QJMotor is challenging long-held expectations of what riders can get at the budget end of the market. And if a commuter-friendly naked can undercut the Japanese by this much, the same pressure is starting to appear in other categories, especially the adventure segment, where riders demand big bike capability without the big bike price. Big bike experience, small bike price. Adventure riders looking for value now have a surprising option in the Morbidelli T1002VX, a Chinese-built machine that Visordown described as delivering a big bike experience with a sensible price tag. It comes equipped with a 449 cubic centimeter engine producing 43 brake horsepower and 29.5 pound-feet of torque, numbers that land it firmly in the middleweight adventure category. What makes it stand out isn't just the engine, but its weight. At about 145 kilograms, it's significantly lighter than many bikes in this segment, which makes a real difference in handling and agility on the road. At 6,950 pounds, the T1002VX undercuts several established Japanese rivals by a wide margin. To put that in context, it's nearly 3,000 pounds less than a Yamaha Tenere 700, yet it still arrives with practical rider-friendly features. The 835mm seat height is a smart middle ground, high enough for decent ground clearance, but still manageable for most riders who want confidence when stopping in traffic or tackling uneven ground. Factor in its road-oriented design, and you have a bike clearly aimed at commuters and tourers who occasionally stray onto gravel or dirt without venturing into hardcore off-road territory. Visordown noted that the T1002VX is best described as a road-going adventure machine. The ergonomics are designed around longer rides, with a comfortable seating position and effective wind protection that doesn't feel oversized. No, it won't compete with bikes like KTM's 790 Adventure in terms of suspension travel or dirt capability, but that was never the goal. Instead, Morbidelli's strategy is to give riders the comfort and practicality of an ADV without the intimidating weight or high costs that usually come with the category. One of the key takeaways from Visordown's review is the marked improvement in build quality. The switchgear and welds were found to be well finished, showing that Chinese brands are paying closer attention to the details that used to hold them back. While some of the plastic trim is still a reminder of its budget-conscious roots, the overall fit and finish exceed what most would expect from a sub-7,000-pound adventure bike. The T1002VX shows how far Chinese manufacturers have come in creating a serious contender at the middleweight level. And for riders wondering whether stepping up in displacement might mean stepping out of budget, the next bike pushes that idea even further, offering near 600cc performance at a price that still feels closer to entry-level. The displacement game changer. The Voge DS625X has been called a real shift in what riders can expect from Chinese adventure bikes. Priced at 5,999 pounds, it lands right in the middleweight category but does so with specs that challenge much more expensive rivals. As Visordown notes, the DS625X isn't about flashing extras. It's about delivering displacement and performance that usually come with a higher price tag. Power comes from a 581 cubic centimeter Lonson-derived engine, producing 61 brake horsepower and 42 pound-feet of torque. This setup is more than enough for highway cruising, luggage hauling, and light gravel use. The Lonson connection is worth pointing out too. This is the same company that builds engines for BMW. so the powertrain comes with a layer of credibility that helps counter old concerns about Chinese reliability. With a wet weight of 206 kilograms and a 17.6-liter fuel tank, the DS625X leans toward touring rather than hardcore off-road. The weight figure puts it in line with Japanese middleweights, and that fuel range makes it practical for longer trips between refueling stops. Its ergonomics are relaxed, and the 830mm seat height should suit many average-height riders, while still leaving enough ground clearance for mild trails. You're getting a road-focused ADV that can handle unpaved sections, but not one built for the punishing terrain a KTM rider might seek out. Reviewers did flag up some shortcomings: traction control that kicks in too aggressively, and front brakes that feel weaker than they should compared to Japan's best. Those are the main niggles, but compared with the Yamaha Tracer 7, which costs almost 3,000 pounds more, they may not be deal breakers for riders who are value conscious. The finish also shows improvement over earlier Chinese models, with cleaner welds, solid switchgear, and paint quality that suggests a step up, even if a few plastic panels still feel a little flexible. The DS625X stands out because it proves larger capacity bikes can still keep an aggressive price advantage without cutting engineering corners. It's a carefully balanced package that combines credibility from Lansing's BMW ties with the affordability riders expect from China. Whether the market fully embraces a 600-class Chinese ADV is the real test, but this model already signals a turning point in perception. And while the DS625X makes the case for power and practicality, another contender shows that China isn't just competing on engine size. Some brands are now setting their sights on style and branding, areas once thought untouchable. Italian style, Chinese price. One of the clearest examples of how Chinese ownership and Italian design can work together is the Benelli Leoncino 800 Trail. Built under China's Tianjiang Group but carrying unmistakable Italian styling, this scrambler shows how global partnerships are reshaping what's possible at a mid-range price point. Visor Down notes that Benelli has kept its heritage alive while benefiting from more efficient production, and the Leoncino makes that balance feel very intentional. The bike runs a 754 cubic centimeter parallel twin producing 76 brake horsepower and 49 pound-feet of torque, as listed in Visor Down's review, which places it close to machines like Ducati's Scrambler in terms of usable performance. The parallel twin's delivery leans towards smooth and approachable rather than aggressive, and its weight of 224 kilograms combined with an 818mm seat height makes it manageable and comfortable for a broad range of riders. That approachability is its real character, easy to ride in town and steady when stretched out on open roads. Pricing is where the Leoncino 800 Trail makes the biggest statement. At 7,999 pounds, and sometimes discounted to 6,999 pounds, it sits thousands under mainstream European rivals. A Ducati Scrambler icon comes in at over 10,000 pounds, while even the Royal Enfield Interceptor 650 costs around 300 pounds more in the UK market. Styling details help it punch far above that sticker price. A round LED headlight, metal fenders, sculpted tank, and the playful Little Lion branding all make it look Italian through and through. Of course, some trade-offs show why it stays so affordable. The LCD display already feels outdated beside TFT dashboards on newer models, and switchgear doesn't quite match Yamaha or Ducati levels of finish. But the overall presentation, paint, frame welds, and detailing is a step above the older generation of Chinese-built bikes. You end up with a bike that feels solid and well-finished, but not luxury grade. For Benelli, the Leoncino 800 Trail is proof the strategy is working. Its refreshed range and sharper pricing have delivered strong sales in a number of markets, allowing Benelli to compete against bigger European names without pretending to replace them. It's not about beating Italian rivals at their own game. It's about offering a recognizably stylish option that comes in significantly cheaper. That mix of design credibility and cost efficiency shows just how far Chinese-backed brands have come. But stylish looks and solid value are only part of the equation. Many riders still want to know if these bikes will hold up year after year. The reliability question. That leads us to the issue many riders can't ignore: the reliability question. For years, Chinese motorcycles carried a reputation for weak build quality and questionable longevity. Early imports often used cheaper metals and plastics, and that memory still lingers in the minds of buyers today. but things are starting to look very different from what they once were. Two key shifts stand out. First, partnerships with Western brands like KTM and BMW aren't just about sharing badges. They involve real technology transfer and quality control standards. CFMoto's joint venture with KTM means they're building production models for Europe, and Lonson manufactures entire engine ranges for BMW, which wouldn't be happening without strict oversight. Second, reporting from outlets like Bennett's Bike Social shows that modern Chinese bikes are measurably stronger than older generations, with higher spec materials and better manufacturing processes. Models like the Benelli Leoncino 800 and Voge DS625X feature components that are much closer to their Japanese rivals in durability, even if some finishing touches still trail behind. Warranty coverage backs up these improvements. Many Chinese brands now match Western warranty lengths, commonly 2 years, with some stretching to 3. CFMoto, for example, offers a 2-year unlimited mileage warranty in Europe, and Benelli matches the typical 2-year coverage that Honda provides. These guarantees show that manufacturers are more confident their bikes will last. Running costs also play in their favor. Labor rates and parts prices are often around 20 to 30% lower than Japanese brands, making maintenance surprisingly affordable. Bennett's even found that insuring a Chinese bike averages about 161 pounds, compared to roughly 175 pounds for Hondas in the same sample set. Of course, there are still gaps. Dealer and service networks remain limited, compared with Japanese rivals who've had decades to establish global coverage. In major cities, you're likely to find CFMoto or Benelli dealerships, but rural owners may face longer trips for authorized servicing. Parts availability has improved compared to the early days, with common consumables usually in stock and larger components arriving within a week, but the network is still maturing. In short, reliability is no longer the deal breaker it once was. These bikes have closed much of the gap, offering practical warranties, improving parts quality, and earning decent coverage from industry outlets. Resale values still trail the Japanese brands, but they're inching closer as quality and service access continue to improve. And that progress highlights a much bigger shift, not just in how these bikes hold up on the road, but in how the entire motorcycle market is starting to change. So, where does that leave us? The numbers are hard to ignore. According to UK industry registrations reported by Bennett's, 4 of the 11 motorcycle categories in December 2024 were topped by Chinese-built models. That's a clear signal these bikes aren't niche players anymore. They're competing head-to-head with long-established brands. Here's the practical takeaway. If you want maximum reliability and the biggest dealer network, Japanese bikes still hold the lead. But if your priority is spec for cost, modern features, and a solid warranty at a much lower price, Chinese-engineered platforms now stand as credible alternatives. Would you trade resale value for 30% lower monthly finance costs? Tell us in the comments which model, CFMoto, QJMotor, Voge, or Benelli, you'd test ride first. And if this comparison helped clarify the market, hit like and subscribe for more deep dive bike value breakdowns.